This is a 8 by 8 by 3 inch block of Purpleheart. It's a little bit inferior grade, meaning the purple is a little bit more pale than I'm used to, but the wood itself is fine. Purpleheart tends to make a very sharp gouge dull quickly, so I try and use all the different surfaces of the gouge, the very tip, both sides, push cuts, pull cuts, as much as I can prior to going back to the grinder. And I went to the grinder probably 20 times during this make. So you can see the wood turns brown when you first cut into it. That's just what Purpleheart does, but the color comes back over days and weeks. And I sand all the way from 60 grit to 1000 grit. The finish I'm using is classic shine juice, which is equal parts shellac, boiled linseed oil, and denatured alcohol. I used to use this finish all the time, but for some reason stopped. I was watching a video, I think it was Moon Pie Creations, used this as a finish and just reminded me how much I liked it. So thanks for the reminder, Ken. So this is just an up-close shot at real-time speed of how I approach. Just place the heel of the bevel onto the piece and rotate into it until you're riding the bevel and the edge starts cutting into the wood. depending on the wood you're using, it can take a long time to make one of these bowls. I think part of the fun, part of the challenge of wood turning that I enjoy is working with all the different types of woods, learning how they respond to the gouge. I think I learned something different with each bowl I make. I hope I do. And here I switched to the heavy round nose scraper just for the finishing touch on the inside. And then I sand with 60 grit all the way up to 1,000 grit. And before I get to 1,000, I believe it was at about the 220 mark, I used denatured alcohol to raise the grain and then sand it back down with the same grit on up to 1,000. So I was thinking I was just going to make a nice pretty Purpleheart bowl, but it was right about here that I decided to kick it up a notch. So I had some Yellowheart scraps laying around from previous projects. I thought that would look nice as a segmented ring around the top of the bowl. So when you're putting together a segmented ring and find that your angle is off just a touch, what you want to do is glue it together half at a time, and then use little spacers like I have there to hold it. And what that does is allow you to take it to a sander, sand off those bad angles, and just stick those two pieces together. Sand off as little as possible. Try and keep it round. If you sand off too much, it'll turn oval pretty quick. So with my very expensive clamping system there, I let the bowl dry overnight. And it worked out well. You can see the color coming back into that Purpleheart. It's looking pretty good. And like I said, it's a bit inferior, so it's going to be a little more pale than the deep purple you usually get. But I like it. Interesting turning these two hardwoods together. Yellowheart's a very hard wood as well, but it's like cutting butter compared to that Purpleheart. So once again, sanding from 60 grit all the way up to 1000, going through the same process. A little bit of double work because I decided to change the bowl at the end there. But I've said it before, as have almost all other wood turners or woodworkers I know. Sometimes the wood just speaks to you and you have to make the change. Can't thank everybody enough for the overwhelming response to the last video, the Celtic knot bowl. I really appreciate all the beautiful comments that were left. I'm way behind on answering, but I'll catch up eventually. Just can't thank you enough. I want to give a special thanks to all my subscribers, old and new. I'm somewhere up around 26,000 now. I want to keep it going. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm uploading quality content almost every Friday. So if you want to get notifications, hit that subscribe button and then click the bell. Help my channel grow. I really appreciate it. Take care. Semper Fi.